When Mega Man X8 released in late 2004, the franchise was standing on extremely shaky ground. After Mega Man X7 tried and failed to push the series into full 3D gameplay, Capcom had to rethink their strategy. The backlash against X7 was pretty bad, and if X8 didn't fix things, the series could be killed off for good, which I guess either way it was, wasn't it? But either way, to turn things around, the development team abandoned the full 3D movement and brought back a fixed 2.5 side-scrolling perspective. They built the game on an engine that allowed for modern 3D models while keeping the platforming locked to 2D. I played this game once back when it came out. My cousin rented it for the weekend, and neither one of us was a fan of it. After playing X1 and Mega Man X4, the 2.5D visuals felt off. But after playing it years later, I have a different perspective on it. It got some things right and it got some things wrong, so let's go through it. The story takes place in late 21XX while the Maverick Wars continue with no end in sight. To escape the warfare, mankind starts the Jacob Project, constructing a giant orbital elevator in the Galapagos Islands to build a colony on the moon. To handle the heavy construction, developers build new generation Reploids equipped with DNA copy chips. These chips allowed them to alter their physical form to match any robot like Axel can. They were made to withstand harsh working conditions. We are told these new models are immune to viruses, meaning they can copy Sigma's physical body without turning Maverick. At one point, while X is out on patrol, an elevator car breaks off and comes crashing down to Earth. The doors slide open and an army of Sigmas step out. Before X can shoot, a purple-haired Reploid named Lumine steps up. As director of the Jacob Project, he reveals that this isn't a real invasion, they are just new generation Reploids using copy data to assist with the space development. Then Val shows up out of nowhere. This is the first time we've seen him since Mega Man X3, and he ends up kidnapping Lumine, triggering Maverick uprisings across the globe. The cutscene, production value, and voice acting takes a big step forward over X7. The stiff dialogue from the previous entry is gone. You got different voices for everybody, and the voice actors they have now are a big upgrade. So, on the flip side, they gave Alia a new facelift. She looks better, but she definitely is more sexualized, which I don't feel was actually necessary, especially when you add in the other new Navigator. It's definitely a what are you doing situation to me.
Take your damn clothes off!
But overall, the presentation is better than X7 at the very least. The core movement and controls in X8 dropped the 3D transitions from X7, keeping gameplay strictly on a 2.5D plane. Each character specializes in a distinct combat style. X handles mid to long range encounters, though his firing was changed from X7 so he can only shoot straight ahead, to keep him separate from Axel. Axel shoots in 8 different directions, and he still has his rapid fire bullets similar to Base from Mega Man and Base. He also hovers in midair and uses controllable A transformations. And Zero, of course, stays with his close range combat with combos. While it is still better than X7, the game does still feel a little stiff in movement compared to the earlier 2D entries. I'm not 100% sure why that is. Maybe it's because the engine has more modern animations, or maybe it's because that you can't cancel out of some of the animations, and that's the reason. They decided to bring back the tag system from X7, but they did upgrade it a little bit. Taking damage turns part of your life bar red, and benching that hunter lets them recover some of the health over time. If your active character gets trapped by an enemy hold, you can switch the character and it triggers a rescue change to break them free. Land hits to build up your double attack gauge, and you can unleash a joint screen clearing attack. Catching the stage boss with this move at low health will trigger a finish where both of the characters will actually stay on screen. So another nice little detail. The game offers 3 different difficulty modes. Easy gives you full 36 bar life health with infinite retry chips and maxed R&D items. It disables boss overdrive attacks, though you can't fight the final boss or unlock secrets. Normal mode will start you off with lower health, give you 2 free retries, and it does trigger boss overdrives when they reach below 25%. Hard mode turns up the pressure. Enemy damage increases by 50%. Your life starts at 12 points. Retry chips must be bought, and bosses trigger overdrives at 50% health. But speaking of buying retry chips, they ended up bringing back the research and development menu. They made a couple of more changes with this. Like, instead of having heart tanks hidden in every stage, destroying enemies will drop glowing metals used as currency to buy life upgrades, sub-tanks, and retry chips in the shop. You don't just get continuous tries at every checkpoint anymore, so retry chips actually matter. Finding hidden rare metals in levels unlocks new chips in the lab for purchase. If you find yourself running low on currency, the game includes a mechanic called intermissions. Getting a certain number of game overs unlocks special mini stages on the stage select screen. These mini games let you farm metals repeatedly without risking retry chips or a hunter rank. So it's a nice option if you want to speed up the R&D grind. Now, going to boss AI. The balance in X8 is about the same, but with a few differences depending on the difficulty. Bosses still have a weakness, but they can still be caught in some type of stun loop. But all bosses follow 3 set attack patterns. When their health drops, they trigger a rage aura that gives them temporary invincibility while changing phases. And as I said before, once their health drops to a certain percentage, they'll activate the overdrive attack. As far as upgrades go, Dr. Light capsules are hidden across the main stages, but X8 changes on how armor parts function with the introduction of the neutral armor. Instead of being locked into one single full set, the neutral armor acts as a base framework that accepts parts from 2 distinct functional suits, the Icarus armor and the Hermes armor. You can mix and match parts from both sets, like combining the Icarus Buster with a Hermes foot part. You can do these however you want to tailor your own playstyle. However, playing with a full set will unlock a unique ability like the Giga attack. This is another good idea from the developers, and I use the mix and matching more than I use the full set, even if I can get the unique ability. The neutral armor looks decent enough when fully equipped, but it also looks really plain compared to the older armor sets. The color you see in X's profile pic is only there when you don't have any of the parts powered up, which is dumb. It loses its gold for a light gray and red or light gray and blue design. His design also looked like he has a collar showed on backwards. Zero also get unlockable armor through the R&D shop, which includes the black armor, but collecting rare metals also lets him unlock alternate weapons like the Gave, Knuckles, Hammer, a fan, and even the Sigma Blade in New Game Plus. Axel will get his white armor upgrade to extend hovering time. Beyond that, the lab lets you unlock Alia, Lair, and Palette as fully playable hunters once you complete enough stages with them as your active navigator. Having unlockable female navigators is a nice feature, and it would have been cool if they made X, Zero, and Axel be their navigators in the Switch. Something new that they brung into this game was actually having the navigators be of some real use. So you don't just have Alia just randomly telling you stuff that you don't want to know. And she's not the only person, as I said before. You have Lair and you also have Paulette. Alia, if you decide to choose her to be your navigator for the stage, she'll give you general information. Paulette will give you information on secret items, usually capsules or something else. And then Lair will give you information on enemies and their weaknesses and things like that. While they do give you useful information for some things that are in the game, they don't give you information on everything that's in the game. A prime example is even though Paulette gives you information on secret items, secret capsules that are in the game, she does not really give you information on all the different rare metals that are in the game that you can find. And in general, I really wish she did give some type of hint, because I did not find all of them. I don't even know if I found half of the hidden rare metals in the game. So yeah, I didn't want to look it up. So all the extra items that you could get for Zero or Axel, yeah, I just didn't have it. Let's go to the actual stages. Before reaching the elevator, you have to clear out the 8 Mavericks. And before that, you always have the intro stage. But for the first time, they made an intro stage a stage that you can go back to. And it's even got its own collectibles there. I was pleasantly surprised to see that. It makes sense, and I'll explain why as I go over more of the stages. The intro stage is where you first see Ave-O, and it won't be the last because he can show up at almost all the stages. You'll have to fight him for a bit before he leaves. He's more of a pest at this point than anything else. So with that being said, let's actually talk about some of the actual stages. Control of Your Base is a virtual reality training program split into 8 separate levels. When you enter a level, you're transported into an alternate room where you have to complete a task. It's usually clearing out a wave of enemies though, under a strict time limit. The faster you clear out a room, the higher your rank goes, which increases the difficulty of the next section. Between levels, you'll deal with short platforming challenges leading to a prize room at the end packed with medals based on your overall performance. If you play this on normal or hard mode, enter a code or have Mega Man X command missions saved on your memory card. You'll get to fight a secret 8-bit cut man mid-boss right before the main room. This is something that I did not do, just for the record. Optic Sunflower is a decent boss. He'll transport around the stage, shoot out some lasers, shoot out this energy spear, and as far as his overdrive is concerned, he'll shoot out a solar beam from out of nowhere. Pitch Black stage takes place inside of a dark military supply base that forces a stealthy approach. The level is filled with security siren Q drones and spotlights that summon reinforcements while locking gates in front of you. Dark Mantis is decent. He jumps around and may try to grab you. His projectiles are more of a problem though because of the chip damage. His overdrive attack does hit very hard and it takes up most of the space. Primrose is an experimental research center made up of section rooms with gravity puzzles. Stepping on floor switches rotates the room 90 degrees or 120 degrees. Your goal in each room is to reach a green portal light, but missing a jump or miscalculating gravity can throw you straight into spikes or a falling block. Halfway through, you'll enter a sub-boss room where you'll face either Ave-O or you'll end up doing a survival challenge. Truth is, I'd rather do Ave-O here than the survival challenge with the crushing blocks because those kind of suck. But fighting Antonion is another, I don't know how many times I keep saying it, but I feel like all the fights are just pretty decent. Like he'll go around, he'll put out his black hole in the middle of the stage. The biggest thing though is when he brings out his overdrive attack because that just doesn't stop. He can be a bit of a pain. Metal Valley puts you in a mining quarry where you are immediately chased by a giant mechanoid. You have to run while dodging debris until you reach a crane and hit the machine in the head 3 times to have it turn around. From there, you can give chase into the hangar where you destroy it using the same process. After the fight, you'll have to fight Trilobite. You can knock off his armor like other Mavericks from earlier games. His overdrive will try to crush you against the wall. If you played other X games, it's nothing you haven't seen before. All things considered, I would say he's one of the easier bosses to take down. In Gigabolt stage, it goes with Man-O-War will blow up the city if you don't stop him. And if he gets away, it's an instant game over. You pilot the Sirius Ride Chaser. You have to dodge incoming cars, street signs, which street signs will be the main thing that you'll need to dodge, while chasing down Man-O-War before the timer runs out. Collecting energy lets you get a boost to close the gap. You'll have to get these, otherwise you will not catch up to him. Hit him enough times and he'll land on a floating platform for the boss fight. The Ride Chaser stages are cool initially, but they don't have replayability. So yeah, I wouldn't want to go back and play through this again. Booster Forest takes place in the overgrown ruins of a rocket center in China used before Jacob Elevator was built. Bamboo Pandemonium was tasked with managing research documents here, but went Maverick and refused to leave, collecting rocket data for Sigma instead. The stage relies heavily on ride armor scattered across the map. If you time it right, you can bring a ride armor into the mid-boss room to fight off Ave-O and even straight into the boss fight with Pandemonium. This is another good boss fight and one of the better stages, even if I kind of scratch my head a little bit with the lore here. Central Right is another full vehicle stage, placing your hunters on snowmobiles. You slide past ground fissures, jump ramps, and shoot down airborne mechanoids while fighting recurring sub-boss twice along the way. In my opinion, the mid-boss is kind of cool because it reminds me of Star Fox bosses. That's cool for one playthrough though. I don't want to have to keep playing this every time I want to go back to the stage. I feel like they probably should have made this stage a 2D platformer for half of the stage instead of it being all on the ride chaser as well. Once you reach the science facility at the end, the game goes back to 2D. Avalanche Yeti is another person that can give you some trouble, especially when he has the icicles falling, but I'd say he was more of an entertaining boss than anything else. Inferno takes place in a vertical waste disposal shaft. The stage starts off in a tunnel of platforms that automatically scroll downward, forcing you to drop down to stay alive. There's also a sub-boss room with either Ave-O or a bunch of robots you gotta fight. Next, you gotta navigate a long vertical shaft packed with spikes and heavy machinery, followed by a second auto-scroller segment. More auto-scrolling situations. I really felt like it hurt the game. You could have kept this same scenario, but not making an auto-scroller. And then you have Bone Rooster, who gave me some difficulty. He does a lot of flying around and he has a 2-hit combo with one being a kick and then a high kick. The first kick throws out a ball of fire, which was throwing my rhythm off. Then half of his life left, he'll throw fire pillars on both walls so you can't climb the walls, making this fight even harder. Then when you beat him, you have a third auto scroller where you have to go up the disposal center this time. Overall, not a great stage. Once the 8 Mavericks fall, the campaign transitions into the final gauntlet across Jacob Tower, Gateway, and Sigma Palace. Jacob Tower acts as an elevator arena packed with waves of Reploids. Getting to the top, you'll find Ave-O. Fighting him is pretty much the same as before with 1 or 2 extra moves. The next stage has your boss rush. Something that is a little different though is that the room features color-coded transporters to match each Mavericks element, so you know exactly who you're stepping in to fight rather than guessing blindly. Another nice detail here. The bosses aren't mysteriously resurrected or rebuilt from scrap like past games. They're actually being generated on the spot using new generation DNA copy chips. After this, you're on your way to leave when you face Sigma. His attacks take inspiration from previous Sigma forms, wielding a beam saber and firing energy shots from his hands and forehead. His charge shot deals a huge amount of damage and is tough to dodge, so you'll have to land a guard break while he charges. His overdrive attack sets the floor on fire, forcing you to cling to the sidewalls to finish him off. Hitting him with darkness weapons like Shadowrunner will drain his health faster. Upon defeat, Sigma reverts back to a basic Reploid because this is copy Sigma, not the real Sigma. I really like this idea to have copy Sigma as a boss here. It stays with the lore of this game instead of having some random boss that we never heard about. The next stage we have to fight the real Sigma, but before that we have to go through Sigma Palace and fight copy Sigmas on the way there. Before we do anything in this last stage, we have to fight Val again, and this time he has his devil bear armor or whatever type of armor this is this time. Depending on if you're playing on normal or hard, this fight will vary, and I only played on normal, so he wasn't that hard. They're a step down from the previous fight, but they still pack a punch. He looks a lot different than any other form from past Mega Man X games. This body is supposedly stronger than any of his previous forms though, and this time he also wields a giant broadsword and fires sword slashes, I guess. After defeating Sigma on easy mode ends the game here, with Lumine emerging in silence. But on normal or hard mode, the true fight begins. Lumine reveals his true intentions, leaving X and Zero discouraged by the idea that new Reploids are willingly turning Maverick. Axel shoots Lumine in the face to shut him up and snap the team back into the fight. Lumine's first phase features him levitating around the arena, surrounded by the 8 colored gemstones corresponding to the Gateway Mavericks. When he hits a gem, he gains its color and unleashes that specific Maverick's overdrive attack, turning the encounter into a non-stop barrage of heavy special moves. The trick here is that absorbing a gem also gives Lumine the boss's elemental weakness, letting you be able to attack him if you match the weapons correctly. I did not even try this. I just kept it moving with what I had. If I had one weapon at the time, I just used it. If I had the regular Buster at the time, which is the main thing I stayed with, X Buster or Zero, Saber. and that's what I'd used for the most part to try to take him out. Either way, once his bar is gone, Lumine transforms into a Seraph-like 6-wing Reploid. The final confrontation takes place on a wide platform before a cloudy golden backdrop. The backdrop looks nice. Lumine swoops in low across the arena, constraining your movement options with tight projectile patterns. This second form has no elemental weakness, meaning all special weapons deal standard damage. Near the end of the fight, Lumine triggers his ultimate attack, Paradise Lost. He darkens the screen and begins a 30-second countdown. If you fail to break his guard before the timer hits 0, it results in an instant game over, regardless of your health or sub-tanks. After Lumine is defeated, he's pretty shocked, but he gloats that it's already too late to stop the future. Suddenly, a tentacle lashes out from Lumine's chest and strikes Axel in the head, and embedding a strange object inside. Zero instantly slices off the tentacle, and X finishes Lumine's body with a charge shot. As the hunters ride the orbital elevator back to Earth, Lumine's final words haunt X, specifically the idea that new Reploids are awakening by going Maverick. Zero reassures X, telling him that true evolution can never be becoming Sigma. He reminds X that even if Lumine was right, they still have a job to do, fighting against Mavericks and fighting against their own destiny. Meanwhile, a faint purple glow shines inside of X's shattered helmet crystal as the credits roll, teasing that Lumine's influence is far from over, but it actually is, because we never got another game. Something that I did not experience myself was that if you play on hard mode, you will get a little bit of extra events with the last stage. And I can't say that playing it on hard mode would be worth it on its own, but it does give a little bit of extra. So yeah, that's kind of cool. Overall, I like the story, even if some things did make me scratch my head, like the orbital elevator. It's a cool concept, but at the same time, they have spaceships. Like, why are they not just using spaceships? And the whole thing about that cart that was on the elevator that fell off, and their reasoning was, oh, Sigma's body is very strong. We were able to transform into him so we couldn't get hurt. I mean, that would be cool if in X7 we didn't see Sigma basically fall to his doom in a tower that was a lot closer to Earth than space. And yeah, I know he wasn't completely finished because he was in this game, but come on, they didn't even have a scratch on him. And I don't understand, what was the point of kidnapping Lumine? Like, Ave-O went out of his way to show X and the others that he kidnapped Lumine. And yeah, I don't know. But I do know I saw a little bit too much of Ave-O in this game. I mean, you see him more than anybody else, like literally any other boss that's in the game. You see him in about 2 or 3 other stages. You see him in the intro stage. You see him in the elevator stage. You see him in the last stage. Like, come on. At the very least, even if Sigma had to be in this game, I like the fact that he wasn't the final boss of this game, and he, this time, was the pawn. I wish that this type of story would have happened a lot sooner. Like, this could have happened in X6, you know, make Isaac and Gate the final bosses and leave it at that. With Isaac potentially being Dr. Wily, I feel like he had more potential to be a better villain than Sigma is in the series. Maybe they'll do something about that in Viral Nightmare. Who knows? Let's talk about the music, because X8 has pretty good music. They have a high energy synth rock vibe to the franchise. Now, a lot of tracks did sound similar because of the guitar that they used is the main piece throughout the album, but there are still tracks without that heavy guitar focus that really stand out, like Primrose, which uses a different sound palette to catch your ear. On the flip side, even among the tracks that do rely heavily on the guitar, a few still manage to rise above the rest. Meadow Valley is probably my favorite track throughout the entire game. It has a good driving tempo that fits the quarry chase perfectly. Then you also have Sigma's theme, which is pretty good as well. quite on the legendary level of the original SNES trilogy, but for what it's worth, the soundtrack does its job well and fits the futuristic theme nicely. Now, when it comes to the modern scene, fans have put in work to smooth out the original's rough edges. On PC, community balance patches tweak R&D metals prices to cut down the tedious grind for shopping. It fixes some of the boss hit stun loops and refines the 2.5D movement input, so controlling the hunters don't feel as stiff anymore. The most interesting fan project out there is the X8 D-Make. It rebuilds the entire game from the ground up into a classic 2D sprite platformer, stripping away the slow 3D vehicle gimmicks and redesigning the stages around the classic Super Nintendo style mechanics. There's so much going on with that D-Make that I'll just make a separate video for that. But seeing the community re-engineer X8 into a proper 2D title shows how dedicated the fan base actually is. At the end of the day, Mega Man X8 is a good action platformer, and it deserves some credit for steering the franchise back in the right direction after X7. It even made me think maybe I should go back and play X7 again to see if I might actually like that a little bit better. I won't anytime soon though. The return to 2.5D movement, addition of the tag assist, and the expanded R&D shop system gave this game a solid foundation. But it's not without flaws like the wave clearing rooms, the riot chaser stages, and the smoothness that it didn't have from the earlier games hold it back from reaching higher tiers of the franchise. But compared to where the series was a year ago, X8 delivered a very enjoyable campaign that proved that 2D action was still enjoyable. I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10, and it sits somewhere in the middle of the X games for me. But with that being said, I'm finally done with the X series. Well, actually, I guess I could do a command mission at some point, but I mainly just want to focus on the main platformer games for this. I really don't have any interest in playing any of the extreme games, but y'all have to let me know if that's something you would want to see. What do you think of Mega Man X8? Did you appreciate it back in 2004, or do you prefer the classic Super Nintendo style? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. I'll see y'all in the next one, which will probably be the D-Make. But until then, check out my earlier Mega Man retrospectives. Or check out something completely different like this Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past retrospective.